Hey guys, this is me, Arthur, and you are watching How to Draw Creepy Creatures. Okay, so keeping up with the Halloween theme this month of October, last episode we did a werewolf, and so I've decided I want to do something ultra traditional that you guys might not have heard about called Jack-o'-lantern or Stingy Jack. It is a character from Celtic mythology, particularly Irish and English, and it is the ghost of a trickster, kind of like this local scoundrel who was constantly encountering the devil for some reason and constantly fooling the devil by making circles of crosses and keeping the devil inside. And so this one time he did it. He promised the devil he would let him out if he could stay out of hell forever. And so the devil agreed. And so when Stingy Jack finally died 7 years later, he went to heaven and God kicked him out because of his life of drinking and gambling. And so when he went to the gates of hell to be let in, the devil said, "Don't you remember our deal? You can't be here. You belong on earth." And so that's where Stingy Jack went. And so he walks around with a jack-o'-lantern to light his way, spending eternity looking for the place where his soul is supposed to belong, but never finding it. He was actually featured on an episode of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Now, with this character, he was originally, the jack-o'-lantern he holds was originally a turnip because that was much more common in Ireland at the time. However, the custom switched over to pumpkins when Irish people came to the US because pumpkins were cheaper to use, and so that's what they would use to perpetuate the legend, and that's where the concept of carving pumpkins comes from. But since it's a more familiar image, I'm going to use a pumpkin instead. In fact, I thought what would be really creepy is for him to have a head, excuse me, a head like a pumpkin, and he could be carrying his real head and using that as a lantern instead. I thought that that would be a really quirky, creepy touch. So that's what we're going to do. All right. Start with the basic skeletal structure. I kind of imagine like uh, almost a cornfield behind him, since he looks sort of scarecrow-like. So I'm gonna go with that, like tall grass on either side of him, tall dead grass. Okay, this is what we got so far, guys. All right, you see that? All right, now I'm gonna flesh him out a little bit. I kind of imagine him as very thin, so I'm gonna keep the muscle structure down to a minimum. Okay. In fact, there's actually a very similar being from Brazilian folklore called Coco, which I think I'm gonna have to do on an episode later in the series. It's cool. Okay. Okay. Let's work on the pumpkin face a little bit. Yeah, I could have gone very traditional and used a turnip like it's originally described in the story, but that doesn't look very Halloweeny. for people in the US, we're more used to pumpkins, so if you're Irish and you grew up with this story and you're watching me butcher it, then I give you my sincerest apologies. Okay. I'm going to try to make this pumpkin look a little bit warped, deformed, rotted just a tiny bit. In fact, we can kind of achieve that look if we make the corner here a little bit concave. Oh. Okay. Okay. Now I'm kind of gonna give him old-fashioned clothes, like a traditional 1700s look from Britain and Ireland at the time. Okay. Okay. Kind of gonna give him those fitted puff pants, you know, the ones that looked really ridiculous from the 1700s. It's kind of how I imagine him. Little buttons on the side. All right. Okay. Give him a big collar. All right, can I give him a waistcoat? One of those ridiculous frilly collars. Alright, very skeletal kind of hands. Alright, let's work on the head he's carrying. Alright, let's give him a kind of classic 1700s wig. Maybe some kind of handle should be on the head for him to hold. Okay. Kind of just draw these cracked, dried, dead corn stalks. Alright, now we got our basic sketch. Now, when I watercolor, these videos can go on for a little while, so anybody who just wanted to learn how to sketch this, you can stop this now, but keep watching if you want to see me paint this, which I am going to be very happy to do. Okay, here we go. Alright, I'm going to make the background kind of like black and brown and yellow. So that might sound a little complex, but once I start mixing the paint, you'll get it. Okay. There's some cracked, dried, leftover brown solution I made, so I'm going to mix a little bit of that with the yellow. We want it to be this sickly